7. Barrett outside, the switch. Doncic goes, oh, what a great step! And then he hammers it home! Broke his ankles!
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all is well, and a huge report came out a few hours ago, and I'm excited to report on it. And I apologize, I'm coming later on this. I said this came out a few hours ago. I put it up on my community tab, but I was not able to make a video during that time. But it came out by Shams, which is one of the most reliable sources out there. The Jazz want a significant upgrade from what the Knicks are currently offering for Donovan Mitchell per Shams. The Knicks have offered Evan Fournier, Obi Toppin, and 5 first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell. And the first thing I'm thinking about is, we know Danny Ainge is trying to get back as much as possible. He's like, 5 first-round picks? Donovan Mitchell's been a franchise player since he's gotten here. He's led us to the playoffs consecutive years. Maybe we haven't won the championship, but he's still young. He's putting up numbers. This dude is just absolutely ridiculous. He's an athletic specimen, and he may continue to get better with his basketball IQ. I literally got 5 first-round picks back for Rudy Gobert. I believe Donovan Mitchell is better than that. But what I'm thinking at the top of my head also is, what were those picks that the Knicks did offer in this package for a Donovan Mitchell? Were they the protected picks they got on draft night? Maybe the Jazz don't really value them that much. We know the Jazz are very high on Quentin Grimes, and the New York Knicks, they do not want to part ways with Quentin Grimes, but obviously they do not mind parting ways with Obi Toppin if they did offer a guy of Obi Toppin in this deal. So the New York Knicks can't trade their own picks in back-to-back years, and again, maybe they offered the protected picks, maybe they offered their own picks. I think it's going to be harder to offer those protected picks. I'm not some president of basketball operations or GM, obviously, but if I was a team that was trying to rebuild and build a longevity, consistent winner, I wouldn't really value those protected picks as much because I don't think they would work as much via trade. But obviously, it would be a different story if it went down in this trade, because then obviously would show that they actually are very valuable, because this is just a fan perspective at the end of the day. So when I think about Obi Toppin, a lot of people are like, nope, Obi Toppin's untouchable, we cannot go on to trade him. But if you trade for Donovan Mitchell regardless, not like Obi Toppin's going to be starting. I do not think the Utah Jazz really value a Julius Randle, and as long as Obi Toppin's here, yes, he may be a very nice bench player or a very good bench player. Maybe his ceiling's like a nice 6th man of the year type of player for the New York Knicks, or someone that brings tons of energy. He improves a little more defensively. He could shoot the 3 ball. We know he's athletic. He brings a high motor. I really appreciate what Obi Toppin brings to the table, but I don't think his ceiling, his potential is going to be met with the New York Knicks. I really don't. Do you see someone that's entering their 3rd year in the league that's going to go on to start for this basketball team? I just don't see that happening. I think it's a different story with RJ Barrett, because he's started throughout his career and they're expecting him to make this huge jump, while Obi Toppin's been in this different situation that he went on to be drafted with the 8th overall pick. But we have Randle here. He's been kind of riding the bench most of his career. And I'm not going to lie, I think we have failed Obi Toppin. And when you go on to trade for a star, you kind of have to take this risk of giving away some solid young assets, because it's a star-driven league at the end of the day. And it would be the best for Obi as well to get a fresh start in Utah. And I just think it's been a mess of a situation with Tom Thibodeau. We know this past season, Taj Gibson actually got more minutes than an Obi Toppin. But then also at the same time, you're like, even if it's just off the bench or a few games starting, if an injury goes on to happen, I don't hope injuries on anyone, but Obi Toppin and Jalen Brunson maybe would look a lot different than an Elfrid Payton, a Derrick Rose. Quickly has good chemistry with. I'll give the New York Knicks credit there when it comes to point guard position. But you got to take that risk at the end of the day. I'm not comparing Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis is a much better player, and I think he skyrockets your franchise a little bit more. He brings it when it comes to a bunch of things out there on the floor. He's just a freaking unicorn, one of the best players we've definitely seen when it's come to previous years in the NBA. Obviously needs to stay healthy, but you saw the whole Pelicans package. You saw the Lakers package. The Lakers had to give up Brandon Ingram. They had to give up Lonzo Ball. Again, I'm not saying he's Anthony Davis, but they had to take the risk of giving up younger players, even though you could say that's a different situation. When you have LeBron James, you're an instant contender right away, and just adding Anthony Davis, well, the New York Knicks maybe wouldn't be the biggest of contender, or maybe we wouldn't be a contender if we go on to get Donovan Mitchell. We've seen in the past with CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard, they made it to the Western Conference Finals once, but they didn't go that far. They were kind of stuck in mediocrity. It was a very small backcourt. Wow. You take a look at Donovan Mitchell, you take a look at Jalen Brunson, they're both 6'1". There will be some liabilities. Defensively, offensively, I think they would be great. So you don't want to give up too much of the point that you're like, yeah, the second round is our ceiling, because the Sixers have tons of talent. They have Embiid, who's a superstar, and I wouldn't say we have a superstar personally. I don't think Donovan Mitchell's a superstar. I think he's a very damn good player, but I don't think he's at that superstar tier yet due to basketball IQ. Like he has superstar talent, but when it comes down to making the right basketball play, I don't think he's there yet. He's like a little bit under. I'm not nitpicking. I think he's a fantastic player at the end of the day. But you look at the Sixers and Embiid, like the tons of talent they have over there, obviously, and they've tapped out at the second round. That just shows how competitive and hard it is to compete in this league or try to win the championship. Or you could look at the other side of it, like the second round. We'll freaking take that as New York Knicks fans, So the Knicks or the Jazz want even more, though. They probably want Quentin Grimes. Evan Fournier, I'm okay with parting with. I always thought Evan Fournier's been more of a bench player. He got paid as a starter. Doesn't bring much defensively, even though I think he's a little underrated on that side of the ball. But I don't know if they want more picks, they want more players, because in my opinion, if I was the Utah Jazz, again, you want to know the context of these picks. But if I was the Utah Jazz, I would want more value when it comes to players. But the concern here, if you go on to trade for Donovan Mitchell, like obviously the starters, like it would look like we have a good starting core, Jalen Brunson, you have Donovan Mitchell, you have RJ Barrett, Randall, Mitchell Robinson. I know Randall's a question mark, team chemistry wise, and just basketball IQ out there on the floor. Maybe we want to be the best of feel for the game team, to be completely honest with you guys. And in order for this team to be really freaking good, RJ will have to take a skyrocketing, just a huge leap, at the end of the day. But I guess the positive is that Donovan Mitchell has a few more years left on his contract, which gives us flexibility. And I hope RJ works out and he becomes a star. But let's say RJ doesn't become a star and he doesn't flourish like the Knicks organization wants him to, then we're able to maybe trade him and acquire a star or maybe get some value back or something like that. Because when we have Donovan Mitchell, we're trying to win now. But let's say we give up Quentin Grimes. Let's say, eventually the Knicks cave in, make that mistake. I don't think we will. But if we give up more like a Quickly, and we have Obi Toppin in that deal, we have draft picks, how will our depth be as well at the end of the day? Because you need a deep team in order to compete for an NBA championship. But I mentioned the lack of size, or is it that trade that's like Donovan Mitchell's so freaking good that it's just like you trade for Donovan Mitchell and you figure it out later? Is it one of those situations? But when I just take a look at the situation, it's just so damn interesting. And what are your guys' thoughts on it? It's crazy how much the Utah Jazz want for Donovan Mitchell. If they want Quickly, if they want Grimes, again, I think Grimes is going to he could be a solid starter in the league at best. Same thing with Quickly, but obviously the way this team is constructed, I don't see Quickly becoming a starter. If they really, really believed in him, I really believe we wouldn't have went on to sign a Jalen Brunson. So yeah, let me know down below your thoughts. If they want far more, maybe they should walk away. Or also at the end of the day, it's a star-driven league, and he's damn near a superstar. So yes, let me know down below your thoughts. I really appreciate your support. Peace out, y'all.